Hi. For you, this is gonna feel like it's been nothing. To me, it's been forever, I would say. I think the last time that I recorded was a little over a month ago. Well, there's been changes. You've already seen them in editing Felix segments. My room has changed a little. There's posters around. There's one you don't see right over here. I've got Joel's mug right here. If I look like I've been shot in the head, it's because I was. If I'm so into The Last of Us, I gotta pay tribute to how my favorite characters, die. No, it's just I fell on my head. That's it. I've had a lot to think about ever since I started doing all this, ever since I started recording. Maybe it isn't good for my health to be so angry all the time, to get so worked up over this show, because no one is forcing me to watch it, but you know, who gives a shit? I'm gonna keep doing it. Because honestly, even though there's that, I would argue it's been pretty cool to be doing this because it's been making me think about The Last of Us even more somehow. I really enjoy constantly engaging with The Last of Us. It's been making me replay it more. I've actually been having a lot of fun, and I love analyzing my favorite games. I love doing character analysis. I love doing musical analysis. I love doing scene analysis. You know, I love talking about why the games are so good because of the way that they're made. I'm getting to a point where I'm really getting into the nitty-gritty of the games, and it's fun. I enjoy it. If there's one thing about me and my interests, is that I feel like I have to truly understand something in order to achieve true love for it. So I love getting to understand The Last of Us more and more the more that we progress. I'm gonna be honest, I've already tried recording this episode. Did not go over well. That was a month ago, roughly. But at the time that I did that, I was suffering from a very severe case of sleepy little guy syndrome. So I couldn't get past 5 minutes of editing it because I was just so sleepy. I was so eepy, dude. I was slurring my speech. I was half remembering things. I was taking a long time to think. I could barely hear myself talking, honestly. It was just not good. It was not viable. So since I hardly even fucking remember what happens. Like, I remember generally what happens in the 4th episode, but I remember it being extremely boring. So I don't think this will be that much of an exciting episode. I don't think it will be as lengthy as, for example, episode 1 or episode 3 have been. You fucking asshole. You absolute fucking buffoon. But we'll see, because I yap a lot. Jesus Christ. I've also learned to pick my camera angles a little bit better. I really, really need a beard. So yeah, we will try it again. I don't think the other time counts. Am I excited for this? I don't know that I'm excited for it, but we'll soldier on. Oh yeah, we start with this little segment. Ellie pretends to shoot the mirror, takes out the magazine, takes out a bullet, and she stares at the bullet. She's like heavily inspecting the gun. And now that she's taken the magazine out, she pretends to shoot herself in the mirror. I don't know if she's trying to feel badass. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. And then she fucking smells the gun. So let's recap real quick. Ellie has asked for a gun 5 times that we can count so far since episode 2. Episode 2 and episode 3, she was constantly asking for a gun. She just seemed super excited to have a killing machine in her hands. Now she's stolen a gun from Bill's house, and she is fucking falling in love with this gun. I don't know what the point of this was. Again, I've already talked about it, but it seems they made her far more sadistic here in the show from the beginning. I'm not gonna get too much into it because I've already explained why Ellie is meant to turn sadistic with time instead of just starting out sadistic. I've been told by some people that maybe this is just them trying to make Ellie and Joel less likable from the beginning so that it's easier to sympathize with Abby when she appears. To be fair, I've been told this by people that call Druckmann Cookman and think that Abby is trans, and Dead Name Lev and think that part 2 isn't canon and all that bullshit, right? So I don't know whether to really take that seriously. If that is the case, then it seems the fucking creators didn't even understand part 2, because the point is that the transition from Ellie to Abby is difficult, and it makes you face your hypocrisy, and it makes you go, oh shit, now I have to care for this other person, I have to see things from their perspective, that's too much work. because I already love Ellie and I already love Joel. Because for me, for example, when Joel died, it felt like a real person died, right? It took me like a year to process his death, not even kidding. And at first I was very mad at Abby, and I felt a complete disinterest in learning her story. I was like, she must have had a reason. Do I care? Nah. So it took me a while to warm up to Abby. Now I love her. Like, I love Abby, dude. But when I first started part 2, I hated her, honestly. Like, you know, by the end of the game, I didn't really want to kill her. It was a very disturbing fight to have at the beach. I honestly kind of just wanted to leave her alone. I felt complete, like, apathy towards her and disinterest in her, but I didn't want to kill her. It felt self-destructive to do that. However, again, it took me a long time to warm up to her and to consider her side of the story, which I think is by design. I think that transition is meant to be pretty difficult because it's meant to be an introspective journey. So if they're making Ellie less likable and Joel less likable so that it's easier to antagonize them when you have to see things from Abby's point of view, I think that just completely takes away from what Abby means as a character and from what having to see things from her perspective means. Because then it's just like, oh, you just want me to like Abby. Like, there's no meaning behind that. You just want me to like Abby. You just want me to root for her. But there's no meaning behind that, right? But again, I don't know if that's why they've made Ellie this way or Joel. I just know they're extremely unlikable. I've also been told maybe it's to try to make more sense of the transition between 14-year-old Ellie and 19-year-old Ellie, because again, I've already mentioned it, 19-year-old Ellie is sadistic. But again, same people that call Neil Druckmann Cookman, so I don't know. I think the transition from 14-year-old Ellie to 19-year-old Ellie and all the years to see apart, I think that transition is pretty seamless, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's something that I really like about her arc. So I keep saying it, but they keep taking away things, right?
And they set up Ellie's stuff a bit different, like her sort of fascination with the walkers and stuff, and she felt a bit more aggressive in certain ways. And they said in the podcast that that was to kind of like set up where Ellie goes in part 2, which I disagree with. I think having her be so incredibly tonally different from the first game to the second game was like whiplash, and that was the point of it.
And here she puts her gun in her backpack, which she doesn't. She puts it in her back pocket. So I remember here there's like 3 things that I want to talk about. There's the joke book introduction, there's the siphoning thing, and there's Joel's attitude here. So here he siphons that.
How does that work?
And they have this little conversation.
Siphons when liquid travels against gravity, pressure.
You don't know.
I know it works.
So there's 2 things about this conversation about the siphon that I find worth talking about. First off, there's the fact that it seems like it's her first time seeing someone siphon gas out or siphon anything like this, because she asks, how does that work, right? There is a moment in Left Behind during one of the winter sections where you have to find gas for a generator because it's out of juice. And Ellie does end up having to siphon gas out of a truck, like out of the tank of a truck. She does kind of like explain it to herself. She explains the process to herself so she can manage to do it.
Right, how do you do this? Take the hose and just siphon it out, right? Here we go.
There's no way of knowing how she learned that. There's things we can theorize. She could have learned it with Riley. It could have happened because in Left Behind, when she goes to the Scalasier thing, one of the questions that she asks Scalasier is,
will I drive a car again?
So she's already driven a car. And then, you know, when they get to Bill's and they have to use the car and she has to drive so that they recharge the battery by pushing it and having her pop a clutch. She already knows how to do that, right? She's good at driving. She knows all these things. I do wonder how that happened, right? When was the first time that Ellie drove a car? How did she know how to pop a clutch? It has to have been something that she and Riley and their friends did, maybe, because they always snuck out and shit. So yeah, the siphoning thing, she could have learned from Riley or again from another one of their friends, anything like that. Or she could have learned it from Joel, to be completely honest. She could have learned it in that time that we didn't see between Bill's and the time that they're already getting to Pittsburgh, kinda, in the car. Because it's clear that she's been reading in the car for a bit and, you know, they've been hanging out. So maybe in that period of time we didn't see if Joel had to get gas for the car, because Bill does hand Joel a siphon. He does toss him a tube, and he's like, what's this? And Bill says, you'd be amazed at how many cars still got gas in them. So we don't know if Joel had to use that at all. Maybe Ellie could have watched him have to siphon gas out, and then by the time that winter came, she had to do it herself. Because there are moments in Left Behind where she's like kind of just wondering what Joel would do, or rather what Joel would tell her to do. She does that a lot. There's a moment where she has to open a door, but the door has no power. So that's when she has to get to what could supply that energy, hence the generator, hence the having to siphon out gas for the generator. But in that moment, she also says,
Follow the cables. Right, Joel?
so I wouldn't be too surprised if Ellie could have learned how to siphon gas from Joel, like here. It doesn't seem unreasonable. Now, the fact that the conversation goes the way that it goes reminds me a lot of the hydroelectric plant conversation that there is near Tommy's, near Jackson, where they get to the plant where they create energy for Jackson.
Whoa, what's that?
Right there's a hydroelectric power plant.
A hydro who?
It uses the river's movement and turns it into electricity.
How's it do that?
Look, I know what it is. I don't know how it does it.
So it's giving me the same vibes as that, but I don't know if that's by design. I don't know if that's on purpose. Knowing them, it probably is. It's probably like a hint at that. But again, that conversation happens when they're already pretty close. So close that Joel is terrified of that. They're so close that now Ellie is terrified of being left alone by Joel, and Joel is terrified of having to be with Ellie and having to worry about whether she's gonna die or not. They are so close there that Joel is trying to be distant. So even though that conversation has nothing to do with, you know, how sentimental they are, it's just a funny little dialogue that could have happened anywhere. Again, I just related to that epoch and not when they're first getting to know each other, so here, again, feels misplaced, if that is what it's supposed to be like a nod at.
No wandering.
And here where he goes no wandering, is this supposed to be like that one conversation that they have when they first get to Pittsburgh? They're trying to find the bridge that they're supposed to get to, and Joel sees it in the distance and he's like, ah, there's the bridge, and Ellie kind of steps ahead of him and he has to reprimand her a little bit.
Hey, Ellie, slow down. Wait for me.
What? Right here.
How about you let me go first and keep your voice down?
Okay.
It's like a little piece of funny dialogue that they have. I wonder if it's supposed to be like that, like, you know, keep your voice down and I go first and all that. I wonder if it's supposed to be like that. Maybe I'm being extremely nitpicky here, but the fact that he just goes no wandering instead of like how he would actually probably say it, which is something akin to, come on, stay close to me,
Just stay close.
or stay right behind me, or let me go first.
Stay on my ass!
No wondering, it just feels like a direct order. How to explain this? It might seem weird that I'm making this comparison, but it reminds me slightly of how mainstream media tends to treat straight relationships, how they're like enemies to lovers. Like, they start out legitimately hating each other, they start out being like at each other's throats all the time, being very passive aggressive towards each other, and there's not a single bit of chemistry between them. And then suddenly there's a romance, and you're like, what? Just because they're a man and a woman? But they're kind of just forced together. It reminds me a little bit of that, obviously with a way different connotation. Here it's like a father-daughter relationship that feels extremely forced. Like, I can't imagine these two people loving each other. Again, maybe I'm being super nitpicky about the way that things are, but anyway. And I know for a fact that this is where she takes out the joke book.
This is your fault then. It doesn't matter how much you push the envelope. It'll still be stationary.
Okay, we need to lighten the mood. Ready? It doesn't matter how much you push the envelope, it'll still be stationary.
Yeah, sorry, I'm processing it. So in terms of timing, it isn't all that weird for her to be taking out the joke book now. It isn't like all that misplaced in terms of timing. It is slightly early because they're still not in Pittsburgh, and the first time that she takes it out, it's already in Pittsburgh. However, it isn't super extra early for them to be bringing out the joke book now. It's just slightly early because they're still not in Pittsburgh, but it's fine. It's kind of like around this area. It just somehow feels earlier because I know that we got to see like all the years of Bill and Frank together, but what really truly happened in the present between Joel and Ellie, it was so small. Tess died and then they got to Bill's. No one was there. They just got the car and they left, and now we're here. You know what I mean? Like nothing really truly happened in the present. So it was such a small section in reality that this feels way earlier than it would in the game, because in the game, by the time that they get to Pittsburgh, they've been through more. It isn't like a year's worth, but it is like a whole section of the fucking game that they skipped over. But anyway, again, regarding the timing, I'm not all that mad. It's just, again, it doesn't feel like they've really truly bonded all that much because we're skipping shit. Because by now, Ellie is supposed to be seeing him a little bit more like a father figure again, because everything that happens with Bill in the game, they're starting to be legitimately both friendlier towards each other, not just her towards him, but he's also kind of starting to ease off a little bit. The times that he gets strict with her, it isn't out of I don't want you to annoy me, it's more out of I need us both to be safe. Like he's starting to worry about her, essentially. He's starting to care. I've already talked about this. The moment where Ellie takes out the joke book is the beginning of a set of optional dialogue where she will say jokes to you. There's a whole achievement for getting all of them. In that section, it's kind of just like, you just have to wait, honestly. You just have to wait for her to take the joke book out. Like, it is slightly after he tells her to stay behind him and to keep her voice down and all that, because they're in Pittsburgh and things seem a lot more dangerous here because they've just been through an ambush. But it's not right after that. That happens, and then they have another very friendly conversation where we keep the whistling thing. Again, he's being friendlier with her. He says, oh great, something else you can drive me crazy with. And he's being like a little bit sarcastic with her, but I don't know, he's starting to get silly, I would argue. Silly little man, my silly little boy, my husband, y'all. And then that's the first time that you collect a comic for her because she stole one from Bill's, and you know, you see them around and you're like, I bet Ellie would like this, you know, you start getting them for her. Every now and then he will notify her. He'll be like, hey, I found another one of them comics you've been reading.
Ellie, I think I found another one of them comics you've been reading.
So there's that connection between them as well. That's also where they have the dead people can't get infected conversation where they find a body and Ellie's like, hey, your fellow hunters do this, because he's already explained to her that he used to be a hunter himself. Then they encounter more hunters and you can honestly just wait for them to leave. You don't have to fight them. It's just 3 guys. And then as soon as they leave, there's a small conversation about it.
I think they left. Those guys creep me out. Is this city full of these guys?
Looks like it.
And then Ellie suggests that you can leave that area by stepping up onto a car and then a bus.
Hey, we can climb the bus right here.
And then if you wait a little bit, she will take out the joke book.
Okay, we need to lighten the mood.
So like, you see what I mean? It's not right after the conversation where he's a little bit stern with her and essentially there's a similar no wondering vibe to it. It's not right after that. It's after that and then a couple more events. Honestly, she's being helpful. She's saying like, hey, we can get out this way. And then she kind of just takes out the joke book unprompted. She's not going like, oh, okay, this is your fault then, you know? Also, yes, that is the first joke that she uses. No matter how much you push the envelope, it will still be stationary. That is the first joke that she says. I hate to say it, but like, zero charisma in the show's Ellie. She has like a dumb laugh after saying it. She's like, it'll still be stationary. You know, it's like, shut up. In the game, she kind of just says it like she's reading it out loud. She doesn't do the whole like, get it? You know? Honestly, she doesn't get most of them, which is another adorable thing about her. She doesn't get most of the jokes. Like, he will constantly ask her, do you even know what that means? Do you even get that?
Do you even understand what that means?
Nope. Doesn't matter.
Like, I'm just having fun. I don't need to understand it. Because also this book is, you know, a connection to Riley, right? Obviously. It's just another way of her being vulnerable. But, yeah, again, hyper nitpicking.
No pun intended.
No
Volume
pun
2,
intended.
by
I will...
Volume 2. Look, you get it?
Get it? 2. Get it? Like the number. Like, do you get it? Chill out.
2? Like TLOU?
Oh my god, shut up.
What is that?
It's a joke book. No pun intended. Volume 2 by Will Livingston.
What did the mermaid wear to her math class?
An algebra.
What did the mermaid wear to her math class?
What?
An algebra.
Terrible.
That's also from the game.
An algebra.
I'm sorry, like, I must seem like the most bitter old man on earth right now, but it's just, she's insufferable.
Like an algebra. I stayed up all night.
No.
I've noticed this about Pedro Pascal and his Joel. Again, I don't know if this is his fault or if someone else's fault or a combination, but why is his go-to just going like, no? Like, he just goes no constantly, like a grump. Like, literally nothing harmful is happening and he's just going like, no, no, please. It's like, okay, dude, chill. It's the same with the tape in the last episode. He told Ellie, like, no, put that back to Ellie, and she put it in. In the game, he puts it in. Just like with me. In the game, he puts the tape in, like, he's getting friendlier with her, you know? And he puts it in, and he enjoys the tape, and then she says, well, better than nothing, and he, like, smiles a little to himself, and it's a whole thing. In that section of the game, he's starting to play along with her, you know? He's starting to be friendlier with her. Obviously, you know, he's still being grumpy, and it's actually one of the major Joel grumpy sections because of the whole gun thing. But that lasts, like, a scene. It lasts a little bit, and then it's done, and then he actually decides to trust her. Like, that's it. And it's all coming from the fact that he's worried about her, right? But here he's just constantly like, no. Ellie? No. Ellie? No. You know, it's like caricature. Again. Also, we're hearing, I just noticed it. We're hearing, The Last of Us, You and Me. There's no way the fucking tamales guy is also here. I will cry. Oh god, it's getting closer. I love living in Mexico City. I love it. I love my hometown. It's so peaceful. No noise whatsoever. Chingada. Dude, leave. Your tamales suck ass. I don't like him. Oh yeah, so we're hearing The Last of Us, You and Me. We're hearing that, which in the game we don't. Not in that section. In that section, it's just ambient music because it's not a scene. You and Me, I'm pretty sure, only plays during cutscenes. But here, I'm pretty sure it's an unreleased track, but it's definitely not You and Me. And again, in this section where she takes out the joke book, he's kind of like groaning in response every now and then, but he also starts to humor some of them again. Like from the beginning, with some of them, he's like, oh, that's awful.
That's awful.
Or, do you even know what that means? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's the second time that to one of them he says, alright, I've actually never heard that one. And that's like, I don't know, half an hour later at most. There's a little bit of combat between those two joke book sections, those two pieces of dialogue. So it isn't that much. Like, again, I don't want to act like Joel isn't grumpy in the game, but he isn't this grumpy. He's a little bit grumpy in the sense that, again, he's groaning with most of them, but he's not going, no, we're not doing that. Like, no joke books allowed. So far, they're only using jokes from the game.
I stayed up all night.
No.
Wondering where the sun and then
went.
it dawned on me.
I stayed up all night wondering where the sun went. Then it dawned on me.
And then it dawned on me.
Feel free to wait in the truck.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, but just know, you can't escape Will Livingston. He'll be back.
My god, how far in are we? We're 5 minutes in and I'm already... Okay. So, yeah, those were all jokes from the game. It was only 3, wasn't it? Just 3 jokes. Even though those were all jokes from the game, they're very out of order. The envelope one, you know, like the stationary one, that is the very first one she does. But the algebra and the then it dawned on me, those are from different moments in the game. The first time that she takes out the joke book, she says 5 jokes. She says this one, the envelope one. She says the Confederate soldiers one, which is a double one, has like 2 punchlines.
What did the Confederate soldiers use to eat off of? Civilware.
Uh-huh.
What did they use to drink with? Cups. Dixie cups.
She says the booby trap one.
I walked into my sister's room and tripped on a bra. It was a booby trap.
Then she says the I only have my shelf to blame one.
A book just fell on my head. I only have myself to blame. Or wait, I said it wrong. Hold on, let me read it again. A book just fell on my head. I only have my shelf to blame. I ruined it.
Which is like such a cute one because as far as I understand it, Ashley Johnson actually didn't mean to say myself instead of shelf the first time that she said it, but she incorporated it as canon. It's like a very charming little moment for Ellie because she fucks up the joke. And then there's the stalemate one.
What is the leading cause of divorce in long-term marriages? A stalemate.
Joel is like, that's awful. And she's like, you're awful. But she's not like, you're awful, like when she goes like, you're a weird kid. It's not like that. Like, she's being cute in the game. Here, she's just obnoxious. And then she stops telling the jokes herself.
Okay, I'm all joked out.
He doesn't tell her, like, you're free to wait in the truck, because the truck is gone, by the way. By then, the truck is fucked. But he doesn't tell her to put that away the first time.
That'll do. Put that thing away.
Like, yeah, he does say, let's keep going at first.
Let's keep going.
But he doesn't ask her to put the joke book away. He kind of just stands there and groans. But he's humoring it. Like, by groaning and responding to the jokes, he's humoring her. Here in the show, he's kind of just like going, no, we're not doing that. We are not doing it. You have to wait in the truck. Complete dismissal, right? And she's like, but you can't escape Will Livingston. He'll be back. Holy shit, that was packed with a lot, wasn't it? This little section was packed with a lot.
Must have been some truck.
Yeah, they used to stick big-ass plows on them and clear the roads for their tanks and such.
I want to see a tank.
I want to see a tank. Are you 8? Are you 8 years old?
I got something. Here. This make you all nostalgic?
Why are we having 2 tape moments? Why are we having 2 of them? Also, I want to add that in the game, it's not out of nowhere that she just brings a fucking tape randomly. It's because she talks about the comic that she stole, The Savage Starlight, and then he's like, alright, what else did you get? You know? He's like, okay, you stole that, you definitely stole more stuff. And he's kind of just humoring her instead of reprimanding her. And she's like, okay, well, I got this. You know, you're asking me about it? I got this. It is Hank Williams.
Before my time.
It is actually before my time.
You know, that is actually before my time.
It's a winner, though.
That is a winner, though.
Why is he so serious? Why the fuck are you so serious? Joel Miller, if that's even your name. Like, it's just... It's actually before my time. That is a winner, though. Excuse me? Excuse me? In the game, he actually has fucking charisma. I know for a fact. He constantly rizzes me up. In the game, he actually has charisma and he actually has a personality. I don't know. It feels like a legitimate conversation. Here, it just feels stiff. Stiff as fuck. Also, we're playing Alone and Forsaken instead of I'll Never Make It Out of This World Alive. And he says, oh man, twice. Is this a joke? He's already said the oh man line with fucking Linda Ronstadt, or whatever her name is. In the 3rd episode, he went, oh man. And now he's going, oh man again. Are we good? But yeah, we're playing Alone and Forsaken instead of I'll Never Make It Out of This World Alive. Because Alone and Forsaken is supposed to play when they've already gotten to Pittsburgh and she's already fallen asleep. You know, it makes that transition. She's like, I'm not even tired when I'll Never Make It Out of This World Alive is playing. And then we cut to her falling falling asleep because she's a kid. And the song has changed, and now it's Alone and Forsaken. And Joel is kind of just lost in thought, and he's just driving in silence. But anyway, whatever.
Got something else.
Gay porno mag.
Oh, I'm sure your friend will be missing this tonight.
It's,
Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting pictures.
Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Ellie, that ain't
Put
for
back.
kids.
That's not for kids.
No, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
How do you even walk around with that thing?
Please get rid of it.
Hold your horses. I
I
want
want
to
to see what all the fuss is about.
Whoa! How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Well, hold
Just-
your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about.
Why are these all stuck together?
Oh, why are these all stuck together?
Why are all these pages stuck together?
I forgot about this. Again, this is hyper nitpicking, but in the game she just says, why are these all stuck together? She doesn't specify whether it's pages or something else. It is left implicit that it is probably the pages, but again, in the game there's that little, like, maybe double entendre. Doesn't matter.
I'm just fucking with you.
I'm just fucking with you.
Bye-bye, dude!
Bye-bye, dude.
So, again, word for word, the vibes are off. I don't know how to explain it. I remember when the show was first coming out, I remember Jacksepticeye talked about it a little bit, and he echoed some of my thoughts on it. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said that it felt weird watching Ellie say it the way that she says it here instead of the original, because he's just so used. Like, he's replayed the game so many times that he knows exactly the cadence. It's not bye-bye, dude! It's bye-bye, dude! He was simply talking about the fact that, like, it just feels off to watch this kind of thing be replicated, but kind of like something is off, you know?
But I wasn't like enraptured by it. Maybe it's because I've played the game so much and I know everything that happens in it. It didn't feel as like visceral and crazy and engaging as the game did when I played it. There's something about it that just didn't really, I wasn't like, holy shit, I can't wait for next week's episode. I don't know, it just didn't wow me. Because when it comes to the game, I'm someone who repeats sounds a lot. And I hear the scenes from stuff that I've seen a lot of, almost like a song in my head, that I'm almost like reciting lyrics, and I know the ups and downs of it. I know when your voice is supposed to go up, when it's supposed to go down. I've like replicated them in my head. I've replicated them with my mouth so much that I have so much like, yeah, tonal memory with them that when they're done in the show slightly different, it bothers me. That like that scene where she's like, oh, how does he walk around with that thing? It's like, bye-bye, dude. Like, I hear it in my head as Ashley Johnson so much that when it was different in the show, I was like, it's not the same. It just threw me off.
Honestly, I feel the same way. It's like, okay, sure, you're having the same conversation essentially, word for the most part, but just the way that people say things, it just feels off because it is not the way that people originally say things. Also, again, something in the same vein is how she says, I'm just fucking with you. In the show, they made him go on longer with the moment of confusion about how to explain to a kid why these are all stuck together, because he immediately understands what she means, but he doesn't want to just outright say, oh, you know, in case it's pages, he doesn't want to just outright say, oh, it's cum. That moment went on a little bit longer in the show, and I know that because he said a word other than just you know? In the game, he just goes, and she interrupts him before he even says a word. He can't come up with a way to explain it. He doesn't say he doesn't say anything. I don't know how to explain it. It just, the vibes are off here. Honestly, I don't necessarily have a logical explanation for that. The vibes are just off here.
Alone and
Forsaken by fate and by man,
please hold my hand.
oh, please understand.
I wonder what.
Okay, we had that. I guess that was supposed to be the little moment where she stares at the buildings outside through the window.
That's enough for today.
Oh yeah, and they take a break from the road here to sleep outside of it, which originally she just sleeps in the car, and he remains awake. Again, I have to say, visually the show is beautiful. It's just everything else about it I have an issue with.
Slow down.
This is slow.
I'm not even joking at this point. I'm seriously getting tired of moments where he's just like, don't do that, even if it's something completely harmless, like just eating a bit fast because she's hungry, or reading a joke book, or putting a tape in. You know, he's immediately like, no, we're not doing that. Don't do that, or do that differently. And then Ellie being like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna do it the way that I want to. Like, I'm getting sick of it. It's just annoying. It's just watching two people be at each other's throats. Can we please make them a little bit more tolerable? Is this what people think relationships should be like? Like, am I alone here? Am I the weird one for not constantly hating my peers? Is this how people begin to love each other? Because they're supposed to be beginning to love each other. Just saying.
So can we start a fire?
Now, why am I gonna tell you no?
Because infected will see the smoke.
No, fungus isn't that smart. This is too remote for infected anyway.
Is this too remote for infected? The fuck does that mean, dog? What do you mean this is too remote for infected? Infected can be anywhere. Literally anywhere. Also, they travel in packs, and they just leave behind a couple of stragglers every now and then. They do like the same routes every year. They're their own animal. It's interesting.
Where are they coming from?
Hordes like to move through this area in winter. They always end up leaving behind a few stragglers.
They do the same routes every year?
Like a migration or something.
What's that about?
Well, when the barometric pressure reaches a certain temperature shit, I don't fucking know.
Also, Ellie's not that stupid, just saying. Like, it is interesting that they made her both way too knowledgeable on infected types, but also way too stupid to understand how they work. So she knows what a clicker is, she knows how it works fucking beforehand, and she knows what a bloater is, and she knows how it works beforehand, but she doesn't know that infected don't give a shit about what smoke means conceptually, that it means people sometimes. Like, how does that work? But yeah, I mean, it is left implied in the game that they at least had one moment where they sat at a campfire and laughed at something together before the end of summer. Because of one of the unlockables in the model viewer, you can see that exact scene, right? So it is left implied that they had at least one moment like that. In that model, in the model viewer, Ellie's wearing the, you know, her iconic outfit, and Joel is wearing his Boston flannel, right? So it must have been in that moment, in that, like, between Henry and Sam and Fall, like, maybe they had a moment where they managed to laugh again. It wouldn't be, like, super unlikely. Between Summer and that moment in Fall when they're already in Wyoming. Honestly, it probably was in there, and not between Pittsburgh and Bills. It was probably after that, because, like, them laughing that hard together, I think it was after Henry and Sam. It's left implicit that they did have a moment where they sat in front of a campfire together and they laughed at something together while eating, probably.
So what are they gonna do, rob us?
Well, they'll have way more in mind than that.
Why is Ellie so dumb here? He has a rifle. He does have a rifle by now. The rifle that he gets, it's a hunting rifle. He gets it at the Capitol building. He takes it from a body there. It's right after Tessa's death. But I'm guessing here he took the rifle from Bill? I mean, okay. Really, what he gets from Bill, like the weapon that he gets from Bill is a shotgun that Bill gives him willingly, and he kind of just keeps it. Why does Joel here always look so stiff? Look at him, like, is he good? Let me see, actually. What did the triangle say to the circle? You're so pointless.
What did the triangle say to the circle?
What is that?
You're so pointless.
Yeah, that is the one that Riley says to Ellie. Like the first one that she says, and she's like, oh, fuck you, you got another pun book?
Why did the Scarecrow get an award?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Why did the Scarecrow get a promotion?
All right.
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Because he was outstanding in his field.
You dick.
They keep going 100% or 0%. There seems to be no room for balance, no room for nuance, because you either want him to be extremely grumpy, so grumpy that he goes like, no, we're not doing the joke book, or that he literally completes the joke for her, which he doesn't do. He never does that. He does say a pun in the second game at the beginning of it, but he doesn't complete any of her jokes prior to that. Like, the reason why he says the pun at the beginning of the second game, it's because he's trying trying to have that closeness with her on her terms. He's trying to get close to her with things that he knows that she likes. Even though Joel is very much of a dad, he's not that much into puns. He doesn't do dad jokes really all that much. Like, he doesn't do puns all that much, right? The one time that he does a pun, it's because he knows that Ellie likes them. So he's like, oh, Tommy told me a joke and I thought about you. And then he tells her the joke. But in the first game, he never completes any of her jokes. He kind of just reacts to them. But yeah, the Scarecrow one is also in the game.
Those people you said, there's no way anyone knows we're here, right?
No one's gonna find us.
For what it's worth, I can appreciate these. Ah, fuck me. Let me have a thought. Okay, two things. For what it's worth, I can appreciate those little moments where Ellie does show a little bit of vulnerability. She shows a little bit of, I'm just a kid, I'm scared, I need you to reassure me. I can appreciate that for what it's worth, because that is Ellie. I can appreciate that. Okay, I know that I keep shitting on the show's Ellie. 2, All Gone. My god, you're hitting me with All Gone all of a sudden. Like, okay, would that be fitting for here or not, is what I'm wondering, because this moment doesn't exist in the game, right? So I'm wondering, what emotion are they trying to convey with that song here, right? Maybe... like, because All Gone, again, All Gone is the loss motif, and it can have variations where it's like, I'm afraid to lose you. We've already talked about it in the last episode. This version of All Gone is interesting. It plays in the menu. It's the very first thing you hear in the menu. Like, this song is how the game officially greets you. It's like, do you want to get into the world of The Last of Us? You're getting hit with instant All Gone in its rawest form. However, there's an iconic moment where it plays, which is at the beginning of Left Behind. It's what shows the ending of the song is what shows the title of Left Behind, right? Again, it's a moment where Ellie is scared of losing Joel. She hasn't lost him, but she's scared of losing him. So here, are they trying to convey either, 1, we've already lost something, which I don't think. 2, are we afraid of losing something? Because it just seems like this moment is just them getting slightly closer, isn't it? Like, Ellie asking for reassurance and Joel being genuinely like, yeah, we'll be fine. Maybe essentially, I'll protect you. Is he afraid to lose her? It would feel a little bit precocious to put him feeling afraid of losing her already. Like, I know that here he starts to worry about her, but I'd argue probably if Ellie died by now, like at the very beginning of Pittsburgh, which is where we are. Well, we're not even in Pittsburgh yet. So like right after Bill, in a moment we didn't see, if Joel were to lose Ellie here, it wouldn't feel like losing Sarah, probably not. It would definitely make him revisit a lot of that trauma mentally, but I think it would be a lot more like how he felt when Sam died. So it feels a little bit precocious to put All Gone here, unless it's like Ellie being afraid to, like, because Ellie's just afraid to lose her life, right? And we're focusing on Joel, so it's not like Ellie being afraid to lose Joel. It's like we're focusing on Joel's mental state, right? I don't know. Weird choice of song. I don't fuck with it. I'm not too mad about it. I don't get it. I don't get why they put it here. Or wait, is it supposed to just be creepy? Is the placement of All Gone here supposed to just make it creepy? Like, ooh, there might be people lurking in the woods. Let me look at my rifle. All Gone isn't a creepy song. It's sad. Like, are they just putting it here because, like, well, kind of a creepy song if you think about it, because it's super trembly and shit, you know, like, it's not exactly an orthodox song. If so, that is so fucking superficial. Here I was, like, trying to analyze, trying to take it seriously, and I'm starting to think it's just a Hollywood thing. Cool. Yeah, Joel doesn't sleep, which, accurate? I don't know. I'd say it's accurate for Joel to not sleep there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
You don't like coffee?
Oh boy. There's a few things I want to say about this. It is in Pittsburgh that Joel first discloses his love for coffee, but it's because she's actually asking him if he ever went to coffee shops. And he's like, yeah, actually I did all the time. And she's like, okay, what did you order? You know, yet again, another back and forth that is being reduced to comedic bullshit. Then there's another moment in the Pittsburgh hotel where he looks at a coffee maker and he says, I really miss coffee. Implying that he can't get coffee anymore. It's become rare to have coffee. It's not like he can just make coffee. To me, it stings a little, just a little, that Joel already made himself coffee. Like coffee is reduced to something that isn't rare to find in this new world. It's actually super easy to get it because he has it right there, right? everyday thing. It hasn't left his life. He doesn't miss coffee. It's there. It stings a little because it just makes me think of the last conversation Joel and Ellie have where Joel is drinking coffee. And Ellie's like, what are you drinking? And he's like, coffee. And she's like, where'd you get that? Joel is like, the people that came through last week. And he says, a little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
And later on, Ellie and Dina have a conversation about it because they get to a Rustin Coffee. Also, Joel canonically liked Rustin Coffee. That was like the brand that he got. In his house, you can find Rustin Coffee bags. But you get to a Rustin Coffee in downtown Seattle with Dina. And Dina's like, wasn't Joel all about coffee? And Ellie's like, you kidding me? He'd trade half his stuff for a bag of beans, obviously making a reference to the last conversation that she had with him where he was like, I'm a little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, so like it's implied that he had to trade at least half his stuff, I guess. And she's like, I never got it. It tastes like burnt shit. And she's like, thank you. Acquired taste my ass, implying that Joel told her it's an acquired taste, but she never got it. So it makes me sad that we're taking away from that because it's like, it's just something very adorable about Joel. The fact that coffee is so rare in the new world, and yet he still trades half of his stuff for a bag because it's so rare to get it. He has to give up so much for it, but he's like, no, fuck it. I want my coffee, you know? It just makes me sad that we're making it so mundane to have coffee in the new world, but oh well.
Is that seriously what those Starbucks in the QZ used to sell?
Well, theirs was a lot fresher than what Bill saved up.
Boycott
Yeah, that's what they
Starbucks.
sold.
It smells like burnt shit.
Yeah, we're having the burnt shit thing. Not funny, just annoying. Sorry. He was not that much of a dick.
Where in Wyoming did you say your brother was?
Last contact came through a radio tower close to Cody.
So I don't really know my US geography all that well. I want to check. Is Cody actually close to Jackson City, Wyoming? I don't know whether I'm gonna be able to see what the fuck Cody is. Oh god, there's like a lot of first names on here. Chapin, Victor, Bates, Driggs, Darby, Clausen. I'm seeing Teton County? Teton County? I don't know how to pronounce it. Oh, that's so cute! Teton Village. That is on their, like, they tend to go to Teton. They are patrolling, near Teton at the beginning of part 2. That is cute. Where the fuck is Cody? Can I do Cody to Jackson City? It's 5 hours apart. 5 or 6 hours apart. Okay. So relatively accurate, right? If it's supposed to be near Cody, like on a map. Yeah, Cody is near Jackson. Okay, fair enough then.
Cheyenne.
Really? Cheyenne.
I have to admit, that feels accurate. It reminds me of the Yuri Gagarin thing, right? When in the museum, you know, in the Wyoming Museum of Science and History, Joel quizzes her on, like, astronomy facts, because it's her thing. And he's like,
Who was the first person in space?
Oh, it's easy. Yuri Gagarin.
Gagarin? Is that?
Gagarin? I don't know how you say it. I've only read it, so.
it reminds me a little bit of that moment. I'll give credit where credit's due.
What's his name?
Tommy.
Tommy.
Younger or older?
Younger.
Why isn't he with you?
Oh wow, we're doing that again, aren't we? We're doing the whole exposition bit again, where Ellie's like, let me ask you a question, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, and you're gonna have to explain everything in hyper detail to me so that the folks at home know what's going on, right? Wow. Wow. Am I surprised? I'm not surprised. Am I annoyed? Yes, I am annoyed. I don't know what I can say that I haven't said already. Again, I keep saying this, but the game is more show than tell, and it also leaves things up to the imagination. It doesn't tell you fucking everything, but whatever. And I think here where they're gonna talk more about Tommy being a veteran and being a former Firefly. And I think it's gonna be probably similar to that conversation that they have right before the hydroelectric plant.
Tommy's what we used to call a joiner. So he enlists in the army right out of high school.
Yeah.
They ship him off to Desert Storm.
Yeah, he had the sticker on his truck.
Outbreak happens. He convinces me to join a group, which I did, mostly to keep an eye on him, keep him.
This feels like someone is lore dumping on me. This feels like someone is going up to me and being like, can I tell you about my OC? Can I tell you about my character and their story? And they're just telling me like, okay, so this character had a brother, right? And this brother joined the army, but then like that didn't work out, so they tried to join a group, and then like he did, but he didn't, mostly to keep an eye on him, to keep him alive, to make sure that he was okay, and then that didn't work out. And it's like, it feels like a child is fucking telling me about their favorite movie. It feels like me lore dumping about The Last of Us, really, not how dialogue actually happens in The Last of Us. Because Joel is a very laconic person. He doesn't just lore dump on you. Like, even when people ask him about heavy things that have happened to him in the past, he is very precise and very short with it. Like, when Ellie asks him what happened with the Fireflies, he just says, making a vaccine would have killed you, so I stopped them. He doesn't go full into detail like, oh, well, okay, so I went in, you know, they saved you because you almost drowned, and then, like, they told me that they had to make a cure with you, and, you know, since that grows all over the brain, I figured that that would have killed you, and then I made the choice to save you because I wanted to keep you alive, and because I love you. You know, like, he doesn't say all that, he just goes, making a vaccine would have killed you, so I stopped them. He's just laconic with it, he's just straight to the point. That is how Joel is.
Making a vaccine would have killed you. So I stopped them.
That hurts. I grinned in the middle of it because I just had the feeling, like, right before Joel spoke, I was like, yeah, they're gonna do my boy Joel justice in the way that they write this. And they did. They did it perfect. They did it perfect. That scene would be so much less, Joel would be less as a character, that scene would be less effective, we would feel less, we'd feel worse, the truth would be less complicated if Joel did any of the following. Over-explained, apologized, like overtly apologized, lied, of course. There's so many different and lesser and less Joel ways to answer, and instead they did it perfectly. Making a vaccine would have killed you, so I stopped them. Joel is it's a simple A to B correlative sentence. Making a vaccine would have done something I find not a truth I can live with, and so I stopped them. It's beautiful.
It's where we met Tess.
Where we met Tess. I don't know. We don't know how Joel met Tess, like how Joel became a smuggler. We don't know that. However, we do know that Tommy and Joel were hunters together for a while. We know that Tommy regrets all that. That's why we know. And Joel has explicitly told Ellie that he used to be a hunter. Like, he's been on both sides. And Joel and Tommy have a conversation later on at the plant where Joel says, you know, there were all these years that I took care of the two of us, and Tommy says that he has nightmares from it. But yeah, I don't know how Joel met Tess. I don't know if Tess could have been a hunter. I don't know. I'd like to know more about Tess's backstory, but there isn't much. I don't know. So it's not that Joel had to join some sort of group along with Tommy to keep an eye on him. It's more so that Tommy had to join in along with Joel because Joel was like, no, we gotta survive. We gotta do anything, you know, whatever the cost, we gotta survive. And Tommy kind of just like followed along. It was kind of the other way around. And it wasn't in order to feel heroes, either of them. It wasn't to feel like heroes, it was to just survive. Because again, that is kind of like the thing about The Last of Us. Part 1, survival isn't everything. Like, yeah, you survived, but at what cost, right? Tommy says that it wasn't worth it. But here they're making it seem like Tommy remained altruistic all throughout the 20 years that we didn't see. And Joel kind of just tried to keep an eye out for him, and then they remained, you know, they kept contacting each other through the radio, you know? okay. And then Tommy stopped responding or something, and Joel got worried, and now he's trying to find Tommy. It seems he's trying to find Tommy primarily because he's worried about him, which again, I've already talked about this in the first episode. This bothers me because there was a falling out. There's meant to have been a falling out, like explicitly.
Just reminding the player, like this guy you saw in the beginning, Joel's brother, he's changed too, and he's been involved.
Yeah.
Just get hints of.
There's a falling out between the two of them.
And it's just as you go on, you're starting to fill in that 20-year gap.
It's clear that Tommy really wanted redemption, just like Tess, and so he left the Hunters, and he became a Firefly, and then he left that too, and he went to Jackson, and now his cause is his family, you know. He chose a very different path from Joel, who just focused again on surviving. And he couldn't show any care for Tommy because he couldn't allow himself that. So he didn't do anything to find Tommy. He didn't do anything to remain in contact. He didn't do anything to make sure that Tommy was okay. Because again, Joel is fucking terrified of vulnerability, right? But here he's just explicitly going like, Tommy's in trouble. I need to get him. I need to get my little brother. I need to make sure he's okay. He's gonna die out there if I don't take care of him. Makes no fucking sense. Like, the point of Joel is that he regains his humanity. He's not human from the start of the pandemic. Like, he loses his humanity in that moment, and then you see what he's capable of with the torture and the fact that it's all for guns.
It was important to show just how far Joel has come from the father you see in the opening sequence to here is a man that is willing to torture someone to just get
But it's
what
so
is essentially
interesting.
money in this world.
But yeah, you're right. This is so revealing, not only about the relationship, but about, again, who Joel has become. To go from a father who just cares about, keeping his nose down and keeping the job and playing by the rules, to being a guy who could just literally break some guy's arm over guns. It's just crazy.
And the fact that he has been a hunter, like, you see everything that he's been capable of. Like, Troy Baker said something about Sarah's death being like what crossed the line for Joel, and it made him not care about being human anymore. Like, that was just, he reached his limit.
But this is the defining moment for Joel. This is where he draws that line in the sand, where he has few moral lines left to cross.
And then he progressively regains his humanity thanks to Ellie. It's not that he starts out human from the very beginning and he's just like, no, actually, let's have an explicit relationship with Tess. I actually care a lot for Tommy. I don't want you to see the bodies in the ditch. I don't want you to see that I care about you. I care about people. Again, we know that Tommy and Joel were hunters for a while, and Tommy is supposed to represent that need for family. And again, more of that longing for redemption that Joel keeps seeing around. And he's seen the consequences of the cynicism that leads to not caring about whether you get better or not. That being Bill, right? He's seen the consequences of that. He's like, okay, this guy's fucking miserable. I don't want that. And he has seen Tessa's longing for redemption because she, just like him, regretted the person that she had turned into. Then he sees Tommy's regret. He sees Tommy's longing for redemption and the fact that he just wanted a second chance with family, right? And he just settled down, got married. He remained in one place. He stopped moving from area to area, which shows stability, and that is something that Joel subconsciously craves, right? So the fact that he's just like, no, I gotta see Tommy, no, I gotta find my brother, it just, again, takes away from Joel's arc, and it takes away from what Tommy means as a character. It's the typical, like, journey story, right? It's the typical, we're going from point A to point B, but by the time that we get to point B, we're completely changed, and point B doesn't mean the same thing that it used to. And along the path, we found so many characters that gave us specific messages here and there. So instead, they're just, I don't know how to explain it. This just feels more slice of life, even if it isn't. Like, it just feels more meaningless. It's just things happen and they mean nothing. Like, it's obviously trying to be meaningful. I'm just saying it doesn't exactly achieve it.
When Tommy meets Marlene, she talks me to joining the Fireflies.
Right. We have seen how Marlene is about recruiting people. At least we've seen how she is about Riley. Again, it's not the typical, like, ooh, if you're lost in the darkness, join our cult, you know? It's more like Marlene is very rough and very cutthroat sometimes. I can see how Joel could phrase it like this. She talked him into it. It sounds more like, again, the whole, like, drug business / cult vibe that I got from the first episode of how they seem to recruit people in the show. However, it is true that Joel says that Marlene promised Tommy hope.
Yeah, your friend Marlene,
promised him hope.
I don't know. I don't know how that whole process really fully went, because we only get the anecdotal evidence from Joel, and it's very little, but we know that Marlene did promise him hope, and he was into that. He bought into it. Yeah, I mean, I can accept the talked him into it. I can accept it.
Of course, last I heard, he quit the Fireflies too. Now he's on his own out there, and I gotta go get him.
It's Unbound, isn't it? Again. They've been playing it at random ass times. Like, at first they played it right before the Capitol building, and now they're playing it as Joel explains Tommy, which just has a very different vibe in the game, because again, they have this conversation way later. They have this conversation after Henry and Sam, right before they get to Tommy. They don't have it right after Bill's. Unbound is not appropriate for any of this. Unbound is such a beautiful piece, dude. I don't talk about it enough, but it's such a beautiful piece, and it doesn't deserve this treatment, because it has to do with a very specific kind of loss. So Unbound has some all gone-ish vibes. It is tied to it. It also has connections with Collateral. I would argue Collateral is actually just a rendition of Unbound.
Let's go. It's all right.
Don't ever let me see you again. Come on.
I could say maybe Unbound is possibly Abby's version of All Gone. Like, it's her loss motif to a certain extent. Unbound has to do with Abby's descent due to loss. So I don't see why we're playing it in anything related to Part 1, because that's not what Part 1 is really fully all about. It doesn't have that pursuit of justice kind of thing to it. It does have the sacrifice of one's identity and happiness for the sake of grieving. For example, again, same issue that we had in the last episode regarding It Can't Last, because I was like, listen, it's a Part 2 song, we're not gonna hear it with anything related to Part 1. I could allow it playing if you understood what it fucking stands for, right? So it's similar. It would be cool to have seen Bill and Frank having a good moment with It Can't Last in the background if they were to have the same ending as they did in the game, because it would fit the motif perfectly. It's similar to this. It would be cool if we could see moments where Joel avoids talking about Sarah, like where he kind of dismisses the topic. Maybe the Dawn of the Wolf thing, or him looking at his watch every now and then. I could even maybe allow it during the fight that they have in the outskirts of Jackson, because that is a very big, like, I'm terrified of how much I love you. And also, Ellie brings up Sarah, right? The topic that Joel's been avoiding this whole time. You know, I would not be mad at all if they were to include Unbound in those moments, because it would fit the motif, kinda, because Joel is not pursuing justice. However, he did sacrifice his own identity for the sake of grieving. Suffering is how we dignify the dead.
But we can choose to be happy.
Again, going back to something you said earlier, Neil, but it's like this idea that suffering is the way that we honor the dead.
Meaning, Abby doesn't let herself be happy and have relationships and return to a normal, or at least relatively normal life, because she feels like she hasn't grieved her dad properly, because she hasn't quote-unquote done anything about it. She hasn't avenged him in her mind, and she feels like she owes him that, and she owes him suffering. There's this guilt that comes with being happy after loss.
Nick, but poor Owen loves Abby so much, and she's just so stuck with this, well, grief, I guess, that she can't let go. The injustice that she can't let go.
And she just can't. She can't. This is just, she's not the person she was anymore.
It's this notion that somehow, if she's happy, she's disrespecting the loss of her father.
Yeah, I don't think Abby has fully admitted, like, no, I don't have a right to be happy.
And I feel like Joel probably deals with something very similar, right? He also has obviously he has the trauma response of avoiding vulnerability, generally because it's a defense mechanism, but I could also easily see him feeling guilty about the idea of growing attached to another kid, because it could feel maybe like an insult to Sarah, right? It could feel like he's not grieving her properly, like he is forgetting her or leaving her behind, and he doesn't want to do that. I could see that 100% being a thing. So Unbound would be a cool track to play in moments like that. But here, if we're talking about Tommy, or if we're getting to the Capitol building, it literally means nothing. Like, it means absolutely nothing. Unbound has nothing to do with any of this. Unbound has to do with the descent of loss, of death, what death means to you, and everything that follows, right? Because if you come crashing down, there's gonna be impact, and there's gonna be others that suffer around you. So yeah, not a fan of Unbound here. In terms of the lore that Joel is saying, it's getting more and more accurate as he progresses. Yes, Tommy did quit the Fireflies.
I gotta go get him.
No, you don't. It's not about that. It's about Ellie being the cure, and you gotta get the cure to him, because you owe Tess that. Again, obviously Joel does care about Tommy, but it's mostly the fact that he wants to take the cure to him so that Tommy can tell him where to go. And by the time that they get there, things have changed. And now it's about leaving Ellie with him so that Joel can avoid that vulnerability.
If you don't think there's hope for the world, why bother going on?
Keep going for family. That's about it.
I'm not family.
No.
Yeah, I remember this conversation. It only gets more spoon-feedy from now on. Yeah, it's just, why are you taking me to the fight? You know, why are you doing this? You gotta find happiness in this horrible world that we live in. You have to keep going for family. But I'm not family. No, but Tess was. He's gonna say that, right?
She was like family.
And she was like family. Tess was family, so I gotta keep going for family. I don't need to explain this, but this conversation never fucking happens in the game, because there's no need for it. There's no fucking need for it, because we're not stupid, we understand. Not everything has to be said, dude. Not in media. You don't have to tell me everything. You know, I have a brain, right? Watching this show makes me feel stupid. It makes me feel like I'm being treated like a toddler.
I'm not family.
No.
But Tess was.
Cargo.
No, your cargo. Literally, oh my god. They're saying things twice. Joel has said, oh man, listening to music twice, and now there's the your cargo line twice, which, by the way, it's never said to Ellie directly. Tess just tells Joel, she's just cargo, Joel. It's one line. That's it. It's not constant like, who is she? To you, she's cargo. No, you're cargo, but I made a promise to Tess, and she was family. These are all my character motivations for the folks at home watching. It's just, oh... Brother, I'm getting full from all the spoon feeding you're doing, dog.
What if you don't find him?
I will.
How do you know?
I'm persistent.
Literally the opposite of how that goes, though. By the time that they get to that conversation, he's like, well, we might find him, we might not, but Ellie's the one that's being persistent, because the journey matters more to her. It matters more to her to get to the Fireflies than to Joel. Joel right now is just dealing with a lot of emotions. He's just dealing with the fact that he's terrified of losing her, and he doesn't know how to deal with that feeling. But she's persistent. She's like, everything that we have gone through is just more fuel for me to get to the Fireflies. Like, if I wasn't sure before, now I'm like 200% sure. Every new death to the infection that Ellie sees fuels her need for becoming the cure. It just fuels her survivor's guilt, the weight that she feels like she carries on her shoulders for being the cure. So she's the one that's more persistent. She's like, well, with or without his help, we will get there.
Let's just keep going.
And Joel is kind of just like, well, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. But here, Ellie's just being like, what are your character motivations, Joel? And Joel is kind of just like, I am persistent, and I care about my brother. And also, I made a promise to Tess, because she was family, blah, blah, blah. Whew. Leave something for the imagination, will ya? This show is so slutty with its info dumping. What happened to just showing an ankle of lore beneath the dress This metaphor is weird. What happened to just showing like a little bit of it and then making you think for the rest of it? Yeah, I'm convinced that Neil didn't write this. I'm convinced, because it is a staple of Neil. That is his brand. That is how he writes. He writes in a way that's like, well, what do you think happened? Like, we already know that. I'm convinced he just stepped aside and he's just a name on this. I'm honestly, this is kind of copium for me, because I really hope he didn't write this, because holy shit, it is bad.
You got up pretty early if you want to grab more sleep.
I'm not even tired.
Now we're gonna cut to her being asleep. Oh, I'm in the trenches. Originally, he kind of just goes like,
Why don't you try to get some sleep? Right.
I'm not even tired.
and then we wait a little bit because comedy has timing, and then we cut to her being asleep, and she's not snoring. She's kind of just asleep, and she looks like a cute kid sleeping. Like it's adorable. And Joel is kind of just lost in thought. But here it's like, psh, I'm not even tired. Like it's. I don't know, it's giving like cheap comedy. It's not the same. In the game it feels like cute and you chuckle a little to yourself and that's it, you know, but it's mostly just Ellie being cute. I don't know what, it's just painfully unfunny. The fact that they made Ellie snore and they made the cut so quick, I don't know. But yeah, here it's supposed to be like impossible to keep going forward to where they were supposed to be going, and it just means that they have to kind of sidetrack a little bit, which takes them directly into that area of Pittsburgh where they get ambushed.
Stay put.
But originally he kind of just goes like, screw it, and he just drives the other way. But here he's stepping out.
How far back do we have to go to get around this?
This map shit is new, but I'm not fully against it.
Screw it.
Screw it, okay.
What are you doing?
We can jog right around this tunnel.
You don't need to explain so
Go
much.
back on the road, minute tops.
You don't need to explain everything to me, man. The game he just says screw it, and that's it.
The fuck is the highway?
Do I need to be saying it? Every episode, do I need to be saying it? Joel says fuck 4 times. He doesn't say fuck when his daughter dies. He doesn't say fuck when he gets tortured. He says it 4 times, tops. Honestly, literally all of them are optional and one of them is rare.
Fucking rats.
Like, you could go an entire playthrough from part 1 to part 2 back to back, and you would never hear Joel say fuck. You could have that experience. That is possible. Where the fuck is the highway? He would say hell. Where the hell is the highway? Or where's the goddamn highway? I don't know. It's not the Joel that I know. I've also been thinking about, like, I know that this is way back, but I remember in the first episode how Joel and Tommy acted around Sarah, and it just felt so weird. I never talked about it, but I've been thinking about it. It's just, they would constantly say shit and fuck around her. Like, they would say shit and say fuck around her. Tommy gets there and he says, "You're still alive, you old fucker." And then Sarah says, "Your shirt's inside out," and he says shit and he tries to fix it. I don't know that Joel and Tommy would have just randomly, casually sworn around Sarah like that. The first time that you hear Joel say shit in front of Sarah, the first time that you ever hear him say it, period, is when he sees a person getting mangled by an infected already on the road. They're taking a good amount from Joel's characterization, despite what I've been told about Joel in the show versus Joel in the game. Joel in the show feels far more bland and watered down, just like Tess. There's a good amount of things that you could analyze just from how he talks in the game, and in the show it just feels like they just went like, "Oh yeah, Pedro, just do like a half-assed southern accent but say fuck every 3 seconds, it doesn't matter." That's not the southern gentleman that I know. That is not the southern gentleman that is waiting for me in bed right now currently. Do you think I'm joking?
I'm coming.
I'll be right there.
That's a good boy.
It's my second day in a fucking car, man.
It is not your second day in a fucking car. Well, it shouldn't be. You've been in a car a bunch of times. You've driven cars, man. You're familiar with them. Ooh, yikes. I don't think these guys were infected.
Oh, I don't think these guys were infected.
Another fuck? Another one. Dude.
Where the fuck is Fedra?
Okay, I do have to say, well, like, they don't have that moment in the game where they're like, "Oh my god, where the fuck is Fedra?"
Whoa. It's strange seeing a checkpoint with no soldiers.
Well, this is what most zones look like. This place has been abandoned for a while now.
But it is lore accurate that there would be no Fedra because they rebelled against Fedra in Pittsburgh. Like, that's the whole thing. They're rebels.
Man, you gotta be crazy to string up soldiers.
You get people desperate enough, they'll do just about anything.
And the people that rose up, they're the ones we've been fighting here?
That'd be my bet.
And then they began hunting, and they became horrible people. Right, so they're gonna have the ambush moment.
Easy! Holy shit.
Put your seatbelt on.
Are we gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
What about the guy?
Well, what about the guy?
Are we gonna help him?
No.
Oh, okay.
He ain't even hurt.
That's new. Another fuck.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Then get out, quick.
That's off, fast!
Come here, you shit!
Let go of me, you chicken shit!
I'll show you.
Motherfucker! What's wrong with these guys?
Catch your breath. We're leaving.
Okay. Watch out!
Shit! Stay down!
So, some minor differences, but it was essentially the same. I just personally, this is like again, completely arbitrary and logic-less, but I really like the way that it goes in the game because he says, nah, he ain't even hurt. Like, I like that line. That's just Joel being badass. Here he's just like, no, we're not gonna help him. Because, like, originally she asks him if they're gonna help him before he says to put her seatbelt on, right? That is why she's like, okay, I'm putting my seatbelt on, but what about the guy? I miss my badass Joel.
Is this gonna be a thing?
Oh, he's right there. Hey, babe.
It's gonna be a tight fit, but come on.
And you squeeze through and you don't come out until I say, okay?
This is where we have the Ellie saving Joel's life moment, but instead of killing the guy, she just shoots him and, like, incapacitates him. I think it's like, I don't know, she just shoots him in the back.
You motherfucker!
That does sound like NPC dialogue. Motherfucker!
Motherfucker!
How are you gonna fucking pay?
So instead of drowning him, he's choking him with a gun. And also, this is not the Pittsburgh Hotel. So, you know, what else is new? That was way longer than originally. In the game, it's just she quickly grabs the gun and she shoots the guy without a second thought. She doesn't take her time like that. She just immediately goes for the gun, shoots the guy.
I feel like Joel is fun in the show and Ellie is fun in the show, but part of me kind of liked them better in the game because they changed them a little bit. And certain scenes didn't really hit as hard. Like, the scene where they're driving and it's alone and forsaken by faith and by man, and then when they crash and that song still goes and then it swells in even louder and the guy comes and grabs Joel out of it and grabs Ellie and then a whole brawl happens. Like, that was far more subdued in the show and it was done a little differently. And when Ellie shoots the guy and saves Joel, in the game, it's like Joel is about to die. He's getting, like, strangled or drowned. And then suddenly you hear a gunshot and it's like, wait, what happened? Who got shot? Did the guy get shot? Did Joel shoot him? Did Joel get shot? And then it cuts and you see that Ellie has the gun. She's like, I really fucking shot that guy, huh? And then it's like, oh, big relax. And then in the show, it was done way different where Joel's fighting with the guy. But you see Ellie coming for the gun and she picks it up and you see her walking with it for so long that I felt like the same sort of tension wasn't there. Like, it's a big moment with Ellie killing her first person that you see in the game and the show. But like, the game just seemed to do it, the pacing of it seemed different and a bit better.
And also, again, I don't need to be saying this, but it's not a gun that she stole. It's Joel's 9mm that was in the water and he couldn't reach it. She herself describes it as, I didn't think, I just, you know.
This hunter was on top of him, drowning him, and Joel couldn't get to his gun.
Jeez. Were you scared?
Well, I didn't even think. I just ran in there, grabbed his gun, and shot the guy in the face.
And that is a first person, like first fully conscious, non-fungal person that she ever kills.
We talking infected?
No, fully conscious, non-fungal person.
Like, I think it's important that it has to be that she kills this person, because then we get to see her reaction, and she feels sick and she is distraught about it, but she quickly has to regain herself because he's being grumpy and he's being a dick, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid, and she's like, well, like, no, dude, I saved your life, what the fuck?
So interesting when she's, you know, again, it's this moment of vulnerability when she says, I feel sick, and Joel's, again, being very didactic and pushing her away. She stands up for herself. It's the first time she stood up for herself.
So the fact that it is a stolen, like, I remember the first time that I watched this, I was like, oh shit, since it's a stolen gun and it's not Joel's 9mm that she just uses, she doesn't steal any guns, she doesn't have any of her own, she uses what she has in her environment. Since it's a stolen gun, he's gonna get mad at her for that. You know, that was like my logic, because Joel would get mad at Ellie for stealing a gun and hiding it from him, because that's incredibly stupid to do. Holy shit.
It's pretty goddamn stupid.
But no, we're gonna find that he doesn't get angry at her. And in fact, he apologizes to her. And we get another spoon-feedy ass moment, but that's later. It's just, a lot of this just makes no fucking sense. But yeah, here, she doesn't kill him. And this dude, for some reason, begs for his life, and he's weird about it.
I'm gonna go home. I'll tell everyone you're good. I don't know what to do. My mom isn't far.
My mom?
We could be friends, I didn't know.
Am I supposed to take it at face value? Like, is this dude being serious? Like, it's supposed to be a traumatic moment for Ellie, right? Because then she goes behind the wall as Joel kills this guy, and she cries behind the wall, and the guy, like, screams until Joel kills him. So is this guy supposed to be legit? Is he saying the truth? My mom isn't far, we could be friends, we could trade, I didn't know. This is a hunter, dude? Like, the hunters are horrible people. That's the whole point. They're very, very inhumane. They will shoot down a person in the middle of the street, and then they will ignore their cries, their begs for mercy, and they will shoot them anyway, and then they will search them and be like, man, old shoes, no food, no nothing. Ah, this person's got nothing. Let's keep going. Like, the most annoying part of that will be that it's just a slow work day. Like, it's just, it's a pain in the ass to have to kill, all these people. Man, I'm so bored. Like, don't get me wrong. Enemies can beg for mercy in certain situations. Like, they have to be the last one in the area, and you have to fight them in a specific way. You can't, like, instantly kill them. If you have them hostage, they kinda try to negotiate with you. But if you manage to get them on the ground, they can beg for their lives. But they'll be like, no man, don't do anything stupid, please, like, just let me go. They're not gonna be like, I can trade with you guys, I didn't know. It's like, question mark? So, like, the way that he takes the gun, I was like, oh, he's gonna be mad, right?
You can have it. It's a good knife.
Joel with a knife? Now that is the least lore accurate thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's less lore accurate than what they've done to Ellie, it's less lore accurate than Tessa's death, less lore accurate than Bill's death. This is the least lore accurate thing in the world, because Joel wouldn't be caught dead with a knife. He wasn't, in fact. He probably had like 2 shivs in his pocket. Joel with a knife. I mean, it would make sense, right? But he just doesn't do knives. Same with Abby. They don't do knives. Now we know, thanks to No Return, we know who has knives and who hasn't, right? But Ellie's the only person with a fucking switchblade, I guess.
I'm sorry, please.
I hate that Joel has to kill him. and not Ellie. This was supposed to be Ellie's first kill, and now it wasn't.
There's some stuff against the door.
And like, why is she crying about it if she was so happy about killing that one infected earlier? And she was feeling so badass with the gun to the mirror earlier.
I'm okay. I'm good.
I'm okay, I'm good. She's bottling it up. Again, 14-year-old Ellie acting like 19-year-old Ellie. Why? 14-year-old Ellie, after her first kill, says, I feel sick. She has a whole ass reaction. She says, man, I shot the hell out of that guy, huh? She's in shock. She has her reactions. She's genuine. She's vulnerable. She's just a fucking kid.
It's like, even though Ellie's used to killing, used to seeing this stuff in this world, it was still important to show this is having an effect on her. Right. You're gonna see that kind of carry through throughout the game.
Here she's acting like 19-year-old Ellie. Like, what? Like, again, it would be fine if that were just how she is naturally, but the whole point is that she becomes like Joel. Not that she starts out the same as Joel.
Stay close.
Got it.
Those sound more like lines from the game.
All right, Ellie. When I give you the signal, we run.
Signal, run. Got it.
I hate that they're trying to humanize the hunters, though. Not Brian, not my favorite guy. Oh yeah, and here's this bullshit. Oh my god, I do not give a single shit. I don't care who Kathleen is. What did they try to give Henry and Sam such a, like, strange backstory, dude? It wasn't necessary. This is the most boring, unnecessary bullshit. There's hardly anything to say about it. I don't care.
Kathleen, for God's sake. I delivered you. I held you in my hands.
So these people are supposed to be, you know, there's a whole thing against Fedra, and they say that Henry ratted people out to Fedra or something along those lines. Honestly, I could not give less of a shit.
Where is he?
Can you shoot me, Kathleen? Please?
I'm your doctor.
I'm your doctor. Yeah, we know, dude. Even here, the exposition is crazy. It's like, I delivered you. I held you in my hands. By the way, in case that didn't make it clear enough, I'm your doctor. I love it.
Who did this? We think it was outsiders.
No! No! Oh, I forgot about this. Jeffrey Pierce, what are you doing here? I know that Troy is also in the show, and I know that Ashley is also in the show. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll cross both of those bridges, especially Ashley, because, I have my thoughts. I mean, it's nice to see a familiar face. It just makes me sad that, like, Jeffrey Pierce, my dude. Anyway, I mean, I get, at least I get to hear his voice.
Ugh, and Jeffrey's voice. It's so scrumptious.
Will he live? What if I had a doctor?
There's no chance.
And she goes and shoots the doctor. We get it. Kathleen. Like, Kathleen is the most boring The Last of Us OC you guys could have ever come up with.
This is Henry's work. Understand? And he won't stop.
Why is Henry so special? Henry was literally just a guy. He was just a guy that found his way into Pittsburgh, and he found himself stuck in there with Sam, just like Joel and Ellie. Henry wasn't special either. In fact, he had a whole crew, and his crew presumably died. They were gonna get to this tower. But he wasn't like the enemy of the hunters. It's just the hunters were assholes.
So where were you heading?
Heard the Fireflies are based in the west somewhere. We're gonna join up with them.
And here we have this fucking conversation.
People.
No, they're hunters. They have a name. It is a faction.
Fucking hunters. Thing is I didn't hear that guy coming.
Oh yeah, true. There's also this whole thing in this episode. Like, here's where they start to introduce the idea that Joel doesn't fully hear. I think it's from his right, because they made his scar be on the right side instead of on the left side. So he doesn't really fully hear from one ear because of the suicide attempt. So here's where they start to introduce that. They're like, oh, he didn't hear the guy coming, and he didn't hear Ellie when she wanted to talk to him at night, and the same thing will happen when they get woken up by Henry and Sam aiming guns at
You shouldn't have had to.
But you're glad I did, right?
And you just hang back like I told you to.
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
Okay, that's from the game. Here is my problem with the fucking show. Him going, you're just a kid. He never says that. We know that he thinks it. We know for a fact he thinks it multiple times, but he never just says it. He never goes, "You're just a kid and I'm sad that you're going through all these traumatic experiences. You should have the normal childhood of a normal child in a normal world, like the daughter that I had." You know, it's like, yes, she is just a kid. He doesn't need to say it. We don't need to hear it. But also in that moment where Ellie shoots that hunter that was on top of him and kills him and saves his life, he gets grumpy as fuck. He's like, "Why couldn't you just follow my orders," essentially. And she's like, "You're glad I didn't, though, right?" And Joel is like, "Yeah, I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid." And Ellie's like, "No, how about, thank you, Ellie. How about, it was either him or me." And he's like, "We need to keep going." Because he's being a grump and he's struggling with the idea that he needs help, that there's safety in numbers, right?
Safety in numbers and all that.
She's right.
He struggles with the idea that he's actually not better off alone, but it's also like, it is out of protection for Ellie. It's like, you shouldn't have to, you're just a kid. But he doesn't outright say that shit.
I realized what I just put her through. I love the way that you took that away from her. It's like almost gingerly. It's like, give me that.
It's like, he can't really compliment it because...
Right. You did
just what
good.
you
Yeah,
had
there's
to
no
do.
pat on the back. But then I turn around and I give her this. It's like you said, there's a sadness to it.
He just struggles admitting that he needs to rely on other people, right? He needs to rely on her, that he is just one man, right? That he can't do it all, that he can't be on his own forever, that if he were on his own in that moment, he would have died, right?
He can't do it. He can't admit that she saved his life.
But then that's followed by a moment where he finally decides to trust her with a sniper rifle.
This is, in the story, the first time Joel really is trusting Ellie and seeing her as pretty much an equal to him. He has to rely on her to survive in this world.
And he kinda thanks her, but in his own way, he says,
Just so we're clear about back there, it was either him or me.
And I love that line, it's either him or me. Come back to that.
and that's his way of saying thank you. And she says you're welcome because she recognizes that.
You're welcome.
Because I talked to Neil about this. I had a call with him a couple of weeks ago to talk about writing and stuff. And I talked to him. He's the writer for the game, and he helped write some of the story for the show as well. And he was talking about how in the game there's stuff with Joel and Ellie, how Joel can never say thank you. And when he turns to Ellie and is like, "Just so you know, it was either him or me back there," and she says, "You're welcome," that's her reading between the lines to know that she knows Joel well enough by now, probably better than the audience knows him, that she can read between the lines to know that that's him saying thank you. And some of those lines were kind of absent in not just that scene, but some of the other scenes. Some of the scenes were done a little differently, where I'm like, I don't know if that really comes across the same way. Because Joel was a lot more vulnerable in the show than he was in the game.
But in that moment where he gets grumpy about it, it's not, "You're just a kid, you shouldn't have to." And here he's gonna apologize, which I hate.
You should know what it means. It's not like you killed him.
She should have.
I know what it's like. First time that you hurt someone like that.
This conversation never happens.
Yeah, you really aren't.
Here's another one of my characteristics as a caricature Ellie. I'm not good at emotions, Ellie. I'm emotionally stunted. I'm not good at comforting people verbally. Yeah, no shit. How about you show it instead of telling us, man?
I mean, it was my fault. You shouldn't have had to, and I'm sorry.
The Last of Us theme.
It wasn't my first time.
Well, yeah, no shit. It wasn't her first time hurting someone. No shit. We've already seen her hurting people before. She fucking bit a hunter defending herself. She's used to hurting people. She's just not used to killing them. This is her first kill, not her first time hurting. It's really weird. But are they trying to allude to Riley here? Because again, I know that it is implied that she had to kill Riley, but she had to kill Riley when she was already turned, so that's why she doesn't count it. When Dina asks her about the first person that she ever killed, she doesn't count Riley. She counts the hunter because Riley was already turned, so she doesn't see her as fully conscious anymore. I think the first time that Ellie cries in front of Joel is way later. Again, she does have that moment of vulnerability where she's like, I feel sick after killing the first person she ever kills. But the first time that she cries or tears up in front of him, I'd argue is later. I can only think of the farm fight. And again, Joel just being so vulnerable and so upfront and just being like, it was my fault, I'm sorry, just being so introspective. Excuse me, what's the point of any of this then? And here he's gonna teach her how to use the gun, which, like, she's supposed to already know how to use a firearm.
Thumb over your thumb. Left hand squeezes down on the right.
I mean, I guess this is supposed to mimic the rifle thing, but the rifle thing is just so much better. He doesn't have to teach her how to use a handgun. She already knows.
You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
You put it in your pack.
No, originally she doesn't. Originally she puts it in her back pocket and he says nothing. He just goes like, okay, the safety's on. He's like, you gotta be careful, this is not a toy. And she's like, I'll be careful, Joel, you know? So instead of her putting it in her pocket because that's just the thing she does and Joel says nothing about it, she does it in order to disobey him because he had to give her that order, which he originally doesn't. Jeffrey Pierce, save me. Oh yeah, here there's like drawings that Sam made, apparently, because there's this whole like superhero thing that he's got going on in the show, because they aged him down to like, I don't know, 6, 7, I don't know, he's pretty young in the show. In the game he's like, what, 12, 13? Oh yeah, the bloater thing. Dude, they're making it out to be like the fucking Rat King, man.
The fuck is that?
A bloater? Easy! We're gonna prove it.
Guess they're gonna hold him for long. Oh, that don't sound good.
What the fuck is that?
It's a goddamn floater!
A what?
Ellie, take cover!
I got this.
Ellie, just stay away from it. You gotta get up there! Can't climb these bleachers with all the infected around!
Fucking dumbass. Hey, buddy. Come here, buddy. Aw, fucking dumbass. Come here. Aw. Poor thing. Fuck. Man, you don't know how to throw shit. Oh, are you done? Oh, are we done? Man.
Shit. What was up with that big guy?
He's been infected for a long time. We call him
Easy.
Okay, I'm in.
Take a look around first. Ellie.
See, goddammit makes more sense.
No time to argue.
Ellie!
Where'd you be without me, huh?
By now, Wyoming.
No. Like, literally not, though. He would remain in Boston. Whatever. Good Night. The Last of Us Good Night. Which literally has nothing to do with this. This song only plays once, and it's when Joel carries Sarah to bed. And that's it. Oh, well, shit. I mean, am I supposed to be surprised? I'm not. I'm not surprised that they're putting a random song in a random place.
Hey, you know that guy who said he was hurt? How did you know it was an ambush?
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
Oh, okay. We're having this conversation. I've been on both sides.
Been on both sides. I've been on both sides.
Oh.
It was a long time ago. We did what we needed to survive.
Oh, okay. More. Okay.
People we were with.
More exposition.
My brother, too.
Yes, we fucking get it. Jesus Christ. You want to know how short that conversation in the game is? It's literally just, I've been on both sides, and Ellie just goes like, oh. You know, instead of Joel explaining all that to her, Ellie just asks, so, you kill a lot of innocent people? And he literally doesn't even respond. He just groans. And Ellie says, I'll take that as a yes. And he says, take it however you want. He doesn't want to go into it as far as here. Jesus. Yum. I'm so full from 4,000 fucking pounds of lore dumping.
Did you kill innocent people?
Yeah, so. He doesn't groan?
Come on.
No, because they placed him in a position where he can't groan. They've reshaped him into someone that can't groan in response to that.
Come on.
Give me a minute.
Get up, you lazy ass.
Lazy ass. 56 years old, you little shit.
Joel would never call Ellie a little shit. Like, never. Not once. Never. And here we have another Joel. Joel!
Joel, what are you doing?
So that we hear
I
them.
don't want someone sneaking up on us while we're sleeping.
I get it. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Of course I'll hear it. That's the damn point.
And he won't hear it, right?
When we were talking about hurting people, what did you
Oh.
mean it wasn't your first time?
Oh my god. Can we leave something to the imagination? She literally goes, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Then why'd you bring it up, man?
You don't have to. I'm just saying.
Oh my god.
It isn't fair.
Okay, we fucking get it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we get it. You're just a kid.
I've noticed you don't hear too well from your right side. Is
Yeah.
it because you were shot there?
Probably more from shooting. So if you want to keep your hearing, you stick to that knife.
This doesn't feel like The Last of Us. This feels like Shrek. This feels like Shrek and Donkey. This doesn't feel like Joel and Ellie.
I think this whole wall thing is just a way to keep somebody out.
No. Do you think?
And here she's gonna say, did you know that diarrhea is hereditary? Which is a joke from the game, but it's from Left Behind.
Diarrhea is hereditary. It runs in your genes. Oh, that's gross. But awesome.
Did you know diarrhea is hereditary?
What?
It runs in your genes.
It runs in your genes.
And here he, like, giggles about it, which, Joel being giggly?
You laughed, motherfucker.
I didn't laugh.
Motherfucker. Joel being giggly. I can't see it, especially not here. And here they get woken up. Well, like, she wakes him up because Henry and Sam.
Joel!
Which, like, we need to talk about this. True faith? True faith? Are you kidding me? True faith at the end? Seriously? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I know what you're doing. And you don't get to. True faith? Nuh-uh. Yeah, they keep using music that they don't understand. We need to talk about it. Because the fact that Henry was aiming his gun at Ellie, they're just introducing Henry and Sam as characters, and they're already fucking it up. Because Henry would never aim at a kid. Never. The one reason why he lowers his guard on Joel is because he notices that Ellie is with him, because he realizes that he has a kid with him. And he's like, yeah, actually, I only stopped because I saw you. You know, the hunters don't keep kids around. Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest.
So the fact that here Henry is just aiming his gun at Ellie. What? 0 sense. They did age Sam down. He is a literal toddler, which annoys me. But we'll talk more about that in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, hopefully episode 5 will be more interesting because it will be Henry and Sam. The thing with the hunter really bothers me. The fact that they made Ellie not have her first kill there bothers me. The fact that they made Joel apologize to Ellie bothers me. Joel giggling at that joke doesn't sit right with me. Because, like, you never see part 1 Joel laughing all that much. Like, the most he does is kind of like chuckle or scoff. He does get a little bit more quote-unquote giggly in part 2, but because he's already, you know, he's settled in, he's more in dad mode, but he never giggles at one of Ellie's puns. And also, again, she never tells him that pun. That pun is from when she reads the book out loud in Left Behind, because there's a bunch. There's a section where there's a bunch. So it doesn't sit right with me. What a boring episode. They made Pittsburgh so uninteresting. I don't know how, because I like the section of the game. We skipped over a lot in the show. They skipped over a huge amount of sections. Well, this is where we should have had the hotel, but we had it in episode 2 for some reason. Like, I know that they're trying to do the puns that Ellie says throughout those sections whenever they go to sleep or anything like that, but it just doesn't feel the same. They also skipped over the Endure and Survive conversation where Ellie starts to talk about the stuff in the comic that she likes, because again, now he's starting to collect them for her, and she starts to say things like, to the edge of the universe and back, Endure and Survive, and he's like,
excuse me?
Savage Starlight. That comic I've been reading? It's what the hero says after a big battle.
he's like, Endure and Survive? Yeah. He's like, okay. That becomes another thing. Ellie starts saying the whole Endure and Survive thing.
Oh man. Endure and survive.
What? Oh, the comic book thing.
Until in spring, in the tunnels, he's the one that says it, which is very cute.
We killed him. I think we got all of them.
I think you're right.
Endure and survive.
We're being robbed of that. We got robbed of that one moment where Ellie tries to compliment Joel, and he struggles to take the compliment.
Scared of us.
Just try not to let your guard down.
I'm just saying, it's good having you on my side. That was a compliment.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the whistling stuff. None at all. Did they just completely forget about that? Like Ellie's learning to whistle journey? Because it's actually quite cute. And it has to do with, not with True Faith, but it has to do with Through the Valley, which is kind of in a similar vein as the True Faith thing. Because we get to see in Left Behind, Riley starts to whistle.
How do you do that?
What, whistle? You just...
Oh, okay. You just...
It's all about practice.
Ah, I give up.
You'll get it. Maybe.
And then she tries again when she's with Joel, and then she eventually learns in Pittsburgh. And then from that moment on, you will hear her whistling every now and then. There's even a piece of rare dialogue where she will say that her whistle sounds like a spaceship.
Whoa. Sounds like a spaceship. Or, I don't know what I think a spaceship would sound like. Right?
And then there's her Through the Valley cover where she whistles. And she has the moment with JJ where she whistles to him as she sings to him, and they look off into the distance of the beautiful landscaping of Wyoming.
Potato, potato, my little big potato. My potato, my potato, my little buddy potato. What a big boy. Yeah, that's my buddy.
So, sad about that. Sad about the fact that so far it seems we've been robbed of the whistling thing. So much that they're skipping over. Again, it's a show. It gets to be slower with things, but it feels so much faster somehow. And even though it's packed with so much more dialogue and so many more scenes, because there's no gameplay because it's a show, you spend it on fucking Kathleen? I truly don't get it. This show just keeps getting more and more uninteresting as we progress. I think it was by now, or by the next episode, that I was like fully, my faith in the show was completely lost, and I was just sitting through it at that point. Every day we stray further from the light of the Fireflies. Holy fuck, what a boring episode. Joel said a lot of fuck. Speaking of, not a fan. But anyway, now he's gonna be saying a lot more fucks. I think that's all I have to say. I'll stop yapping. Shoo. Like, fucking, wait. Who are you? Why are you in my house? I'm calling the cops. The fuck? Excuse me?
I sort of shot a rifle before.
He's like, shit, rats, that's it? Fuck.
I love that line. Oh, shit, here's what we gotta work with.